Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite brands of rifle. This is a Savage. This is the A22, which is a semi-auto direct blowback 22 rifle. It is a rotary style magazine on it, so it's real similar to the Ruger 1022s and a couple other brands out there, but unfortunately this is a proprietary magazine and does not interchange with the Ruger 1022s. It does, however, also share the same magazine as the B22 in the Savage, and I've had one of those for a couple of years now, so I luckily have two magazines I can use. Even though the latch is a little bit different, they still work. This is a pretty nice rifle. This is the FVSR, which means the F is a polymer stock, V is a heavy barrel on it, SR means it's suppressor ready, so it's got a thread protector on the end there. You can put a suppressor on it. You could put a muzzle brake on it too if you wanted, but it's 22. I don't think it's really necessary. It does come with the rail already mounted on the top there. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you get one of these, take that rail off, clean it up really well, get any oil out from underneath it, put a little Loctite on those screws and put it back on there, because I've already done this video once and I didn't do that. And when I was doing some filming, I discovered that in my video, when I was doing the editing, that my scope base was loose and there was a little wobble to it, so my grouping did not do real well. Anyways, I'm going to show you how this thing comes apart for cleaning and maintenance, and then we'll get it out on the range, give it a few shots. All right, now one of the reasons that Savage is one of my favorite brands is because of this little thing right here, the AccuTrigger. And if you've gotten any of the older Savage rifles, the A series, the 93s, whatever, you probably got one of these little tools with it right here. It's a little yellow plastic handle on this little wrench that adjusts the AccuTrigger. Now, to do that on the older rifles, you actually had to take the action out of the stock to be able to do it. But with this one, they've included this little wrench right here, just a little wire wrench with a little bent handle on it, and all you got to do is flip it over, and there's a hole right here in the trigger guard that wrench will slide right down in there and gets to that spring on the AccuTrigger and adjust it. It's pretty easy to do. All you got to do is turn it one way or the other, whether or not you want it a lighter trigger pull or a heavy trigger pull. This one is at the lightest right now. It's not a heavy trigger pull even on its heaviest setting. But one of the things you're going to need when you go to disassemble this thing for cleaning and maintenance is a 5/32 Allen wrench. And right here in front of the mag opening there, the mag well, there's a screw there, and then there's one underneath this top cover on here. So what you got to do to get to this top one, and it makes it more of a pain with the scope on it, but you got to kind of pull up on it a little bit. You can take your Allen wrench and push in. There's a little button right in the back there, and all you got to do is push in on that a little bit. It's spring loaded, and pull up on your cover, and it snaps down there pretty solid, and take that cover off. Then right underneath there, underneath your scope, and kind of it's a difficult area to get to, kind of with a scope on it, get that Allen wrench in there and take that apart. You might want kind of a short Allen wrench to be able to get in there and spin this thing around. It will work. If you've got some of the ball head Allen wrenches, they'll probably work a little bit better in there. Even with the scope, you might be able to get it in there at a little bit of an angle and get that screw out of there. Once you get that screw out, then all you got to do is flip it over and get to the one in the front there. Hold on to it because your action is going to want to fall out when you do that. This one's a lot easier to get out because you can spin the Allen wrench around a lot easier. Take the screw out. Now the short screw goes in the back. It does have a little washer on it. Your longer screw goes in the front. And another thing you're going to have to do is take your safety selector right here and kind of get it centered up. It wants to pop one side or the other, but get it in the center position so that it'll clear the stock there when you take it out. Set your stock off to the side. Then you've got this is your guide rod right here. This is that button you pushed in on the back. You're going to push that in, and you're going to lift it up a little bit and let it come out. That hooks to the end of your bolt. That's your guide rod and your recoil spring. It also holds your charging handle in. There's a little hole in the charging handle that that end of that guide rod goes through. Once you've got that out, you've got a little pin right here at the back It might be a little difficult to see, but you got to push that pin out. Now you can take your Allen wrench again, push it, kind of get it started, and then on the other side, you grab right underneath there and pull it out. Once you've got that pin out, take your trigger group here and slide it forward just a little bit, and then pull it down. There's a little narrowed area right here, and there's a little section right on your fire control group here, your trigger assembly, that goes in there. So it pops right in there and then pulls back. Now once you've got that out, you take and remove your bolt from the top, push it all the way to the back, pick up on it just a little bit at the back, and then you can take it right out of there. Easy to get to and clean up your bolt face in there. Get a little lube down there for your firing pin, which is right here on the back of it. And your extractor's right there. Your ejector is right here on your trigger assembly. Get a little lube down in there. This is a hammer fired gun. There's your hammer right there. Be careful if you're going to do this, hold your finger on it. Get it to the fire position. And you can see your hammer right there. Now it goes really far forward. You don't want to just let it fly loose when you're doing this. So just showing you that for demonstration purposes. There's your spring for your AccuTrigger right there, where your tool goes up in there and adjusts it. This is the little hole where your takedown pin goes through there. And your safety selector. You can get in there and clean everything up, clean your barrel out. Now you cannot run a rod straight through there. This kind of gets in the way of the bore a little bit, but this is a good rifle to get a bore snake in there and pull it out of the end there to clean everything out. Clean your rails up in there, get a little lube on them and everything, get a little grease on them, because this sliding assembly here, now I've used frog lube, you've seen me use it a bunch of times, on a little bit on the rail there. When you get this thing from the factory, it's got a lot of lube on it, probably a little excessive. But get it all cleaned up, put it back together. Assembly, just slide your bolt right back down in there. It drops into place. No real tricks for getting it in or out. And then put your fire control or your trigger assembly back in there. Push it back. Your pin has to go in the same way you took it out, from the same side. And it's got like a little nail head on it and two little notches in it for the detents. Push it right in there. Push it in so it's all the way in there and flush, so it doesn't interfere with the stock when you go to put it back together. Then take your recoil assembly here and your charging handle. Make sure your handle is lined up with the end of the rod there, because that rod goes in there and locks your bolt handle or your charging handle in place so it doesn't come out. So go ahead and put your charging handle back in there with the hole running parallel to the bore. Pull it all the way to the front. Put your guide rod back in there. There's a hole in the back of the bolt where it goes in there. And push it forward. And there's also a little hole right in the end there. It might be kind of hard to show you on here. There's a little hole there where this pin underneath your guide rod locks in there. So you're going to push it forward. It's a little tricky. And then push it down, and hopefully it catches in there in the first try. Take your handle, your charging handle, make sure it's locked in there, make sure it doesn't rotate or pull out, and then you're all good. Then all you got to do is put everything back in the stock, take it out of the range. All right, we're out here on the range with the Savage A22. I have a target set up at 50 yards, which is where I tried to sight it in last time, but that's when I noticed that the scope base was not tight. It's a rotary style magazine. I got the Remington 22 Thunderbolts out here, and we're going to get 10 rounds loaded up in this magazine and give it a try. Now to load it, they're really easy. If you've ever loaded any of these, you know they're all the same pretty much. But all you got to do is put that round, the rim of it in the back there, kind of push it over to the side and push the round straight back, and then put your next one in. You'll push that one over to the side and just keep following until you got 10 rounds in there. All right, once you got the magazine loaded up, go ahead and pull your bolt handle back, your charging handle, and right underneath the trigger guard there in the front, there's a little lever. Push that up and that'll hold your bolt open. It's a lot easier to get the magazine in there when the bolt's open, because you're not pushing that round up against the bottom of the bolt. And I did have a little issue where I did not have a magazine seated all the way in there, and after firing the first round, it shot it right out of the bottom. No damage to anything, it just was not latched in there all the way. And once you've got that in there, go ahead and pull your handle back, let it go forward, and it's charged up and ready to shoot. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing sighted in, because I'm sure it's off. When I removed everything and then put it back on, it's probably not gonna be exactly where it was. But what I noticed was I had really big, large, loose groups when I shot last time, and that's because the scope base was loose. So I'm going to get it re-zeroed at 50 yards and see what it does. All right, shot a little 5-shot group there. I'm gonna go take a peek at it, get everything adjusted, get it close to 0 as I can, and then try some accuracy shots with it. Okay, so I walked down there and looked at the target. I'm about 3/4 of an inch too low. Now this scope is not a high quality scope by any means, and it is a 1/4 inch click per, it's a 1/4 inch per click at 100 yards, 1/4 MOA at 100 yards. Now I'm only sighting it in at 50 yards, so that is twice as many clicks because it's 1/8 of an inch at 50 yards. So I'm going to raise it up as soon as I see where the arrow is. All right, up is to the right. There's an arrow on there and tells you what direction it is, and that's moving your point of impact in that direction. So 3/4 of an inch low at 100 yards, or at 50 yards, is going to be 6 clicks up. It's a pretty audible click on this scope. Of course, I'm not reviewing the scope anyways, but we're going to take another 5-shot group at the upper right-hand target and see how that does. All right, that should have been my 10 rounds right there. It is empty, magazine's empty, and we're gonna go ahead and walk down there and take a look at it and see how it did. All right, there was my first 5-shot group, just kind of sighting it in there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 of them in the same hole there. Pretty good shooting right there. Kind of a loose group still. Took a little more time here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is probably, that's within 1 MOA, I'm sure, well, at least minus the flyer, because those 4 are about 1/4 of the size of that square. So one of these would be, half of a square would be 1 MOA at 50 yards. A whole square is 1 MOA at 100 yards. So it's not too bad there. I'm going to take a few more shots at, I'll do it at this lower one here. That little hole in the back there with the sun shining through is kind of distracting a little bit. But I'll take another group right here, and then we're just going to try this thing for reliability. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually did a lot better on the last group up here, but I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. After running back and forth on this 50-yard trek here, doing the back and forth with the camera and stuff, you know, not quite as steady, but either way, it will do it. It will do a better group than that. I do have the scope tight on there this time. It's really kind of similar to what I did the last time too, but I know now it's me and not the scope, because I actually had a pretty decent group even with the wobbly scope on it. I don't know, maybe that helped me, who knows. All right, I went ahead and shot another 5-shot group right there. It's a little better. 4 of them are all in the 1 square and 1 flyer down low there. Not too bad. Let's go check it out for reliability. All right, the A22 is available in a couple different models, I guess, or configurations. There is one with a longer barrel on it. I want to say it's a 24. This is like a 16 1/4 on here. But there's one available with a 24-inch barrel that has open sights on it, so you don't have to worry about the scope getting in the way if you want to disassemble for you know, cleaning and maintenance and stuff. There's a bunch of different stocks available on here. There's one with like I don't know, it's a Boyd's or Macmillan or something like that. It's a hardwood stock that's painted with a textured paint, and they're really cool because they got a really pronounced pistol grip on them, and they're more of an accuracy type stock anyways. This is a free floated barrel on there, even though it's a 16¼ inch barrel. It's free floated, so you don't get the when you got it in a rest like this, you don't get any pressure up against the barrel. But like I said, it's available in a bunch of different configurations. The cheapest one is going to be the one with the open sights on it and the longer barrel. It's going to run you about $200. This one is going to run you about right around somewhere around there, $320, $325, something like that. And really, it's a pretty good rifle, and it has the advantage of having a threaded barrel on it, so if you want to put a suppressor on there, you're good to go. Let's go ahead and check this thing out for reliability. I'm just going to fire a bunch of shots, 10 rounds. I'll tell you what, I do have somewhere over here, I've got the magazine for the A22 FVSR. It is the bolt action version of this rifle, and the magazine does work with it. The only thing that's different is the latch on the front here is a little bit different. It's kind of just a little plastic latch on there, but it does fit in here securely, and it does function properly. Now, I am running Remington Thunderbolts in here. This is the 500 round bulk pack, high velocity. I think they are 40 grain, 1255 feet per second, so they cycle the rifle just fine. I've already got one in there. Let's get the eyes and ears on and give it a try. All right, there's 10 rounds, kind of a rapid fire deal, and no malfunctions with it. Of course, I said I've already done one video with this thing, and I fired probably 80 or 100 rounds in it, and still no issues with it. It cycles just fine. It seems to be reliable and pretty accurate, probably more accurate than I am for sure. Ten rounds with the B magazine in it. No problems. All right, there's 20 rounds right there in the center within that 4 square inches right there. I got one of them outside of it, but it's reliable. It's pretty accurate, and can be more accurate if you take your time with it, and you're probably a better shooter, then you're going to get better accuracy out of it. But it's not a bad rifle if you ask me. Not bad at all. All right, guys, there it is. It's the Savage A22, a semi-automatic plinking, maybe small game rifle. It's not a $2,000 Volquartsen or a $1,000 CZ, but it is a good plinking rifle, that's for sure, and would be great for small game too. Anyways, if you could, hit this button over here to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit this button up here to check out some of my other videos. And thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review.